But they like, why'd you leave? Boy, you was flat. See, I found my purpose. No more cursing verses from me. It's worth it working for he. I'm murking serpents and demons around them and pound them and ground them with nouns and around and sound is astounding. Loud as a crowd coming down off a mountain and growling. The one with the crown is abounding. I'm wild that I found him. Surrounded by grace all around, pouring out like a fountain. Storing up the treasures in heaven. The amount he is counting. It was. I remember. It got to a point where all I just wanted to do was rap. Wherever I go. Wherever I go. Is there a microphone? No. Okay. Let's just rap then, you know. But God knew why all of that was happening, the way that it was, and all of these phases and all of these points, these journeys in my life. I started to work on this album in 2015, and it came out 8 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the reason, actually, that I started to keep my hair. I started to grow it in 2017. Think, okay, I need to see how long it takes. I'm in album mode now, you know, so I'll just lock it and let it keep growing. Yeah, so this hair is tied to the album, it really is. So now that that's done, the hair will have to go, yeah, it'll have to go.
You went quiet for a while.
I did.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's your transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that? What happened there? All right, welcome to another episode of Three and Company. We've got your usual suspects of George. We got Chinedu, and today we have a special guest. But before I get to the guest, what we're going to be looking at today is basically spirituality, right? Yeah. We're going to look at entertainment, right? We're going to look at life advice, yeah, and the usual topics of business and all the things, I guess, in that caliber. The special guest today is a bit of a glitch in the matrix, right? And glitch because his existence is sort of a contradiction, right? From what he does to how he looks to how his career started, right? And so I would like to introduce to you our guest for today. His name is Tim.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Right.
I'm looking forward.
For me, I think personally, for me, I've known Tim like a bunch of years now.
A very long time.
I think he gets it when I say he's a glitch. I think for where me and him come from, our lives are sort of a glitch in the matrix. Yeah. Because they didn't go how we basically started. Yeah. To be here sitting across him like this with these two other gentlemen is it's I don't think we would have seen this in a million years.
No.
Yeah. Not because so much it just wasn't in the line of what we thought we were gonna do. I want you to introduce yourself in terms of full names or the names that you're comfortable with. And just a bit of family background in terms of who is Tim? Where is Tim from? Yeah. How would you introduce yourself if this was a job interview?
This is not a job.
He's not even dressed for the role.
I'm not even, But my name is Tim Chisenga. I am a minister of the gospel. I am a wordsmith. I am a rapper. I am a poet. I am a thinker. I'm a friend of Jesus, amongst other things.
Nice intro.
Thank you.
Nice intro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, actually, he makes for a very good speech writer. You can actually pick out the vibes. Yeah?
I am available.
Job pitch.
In terms of, I think a good place to start whenever you're trying to, I guess, map someone's life, right? And just look at how did we get here? You know what I mean? Yeah. You look at your childhood and where you started from. What stands out for you? What are some of the pinpoints in your childhood that you feel like were some of the building blocks that got you to where you are? Or at least got you to the next stage of your life? Yeah.
My older brother listening to a lot of Tupac. A lot of Tupac.
Repeated or just like so many albums?
No, like he had all the albums, and you know he played a lot of Tupac. A lot of hip hop. You know, so I started to take it in subconsciously. I'm a kid playing video games, but so it's Tupac playing. If it's not Tupac, it's like some Biggie.
Oh,
And
was
then-
a Tupac fan.
He was a Tupac fan, but see, my mother was a Michael Jackson fan. So
Oh,
Interesting.
so
okay.
yeah, so it was like you know, so there was Michael Jackson
Moonwalking to rap
VCR
music.
tapes in the house. So I used to learn the dance moves. I learned. I used to dance before I started to rap.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, I was a dancer before, so that took me through primary school. I was a dancer at primary school. I started to do music. I fell in love with it when I got into a music class in I think first grade or something. I went to a school and they put us in a music class, and I thought this is interesting. You know, so I moved from that school, but the love remained. I went to my other school, primary school, and I used to dance. I used to just everything music related. And I didn't understand it. I just loved music. I loved music and video games. That was me. I was rarely outside. Unless I finished playing all my games and I'm waiting for my older brother to bring me a new game or something. But going that far back, the one thing that I can see is music. It's always music, So from listening to Tupac and Michael Jackson and learning the dance moves to then starting to recite and rewrite the lyrics.
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
in your own form?
No, I would rewrite them to rewrite the lyrics I'm hearing so that I can know them and I can rap along.
Oh, okay.
So I started to write the lyrics, and as I did that, I started to see patterns.
Right.
You know, and for me, the one thing that got me was rhythm. Everything is in patterns. You know, so what's the pattern here? What's the pattern there? What's happening inside of this? Even as a kid, I was always very rhythm based. So I started to notice patterns, and it just intrigued me. You know, so even when I looked at now my Michael Jackson videotapes, I would see that there's a pattern here, even in the rhythm. Whether it's dance, it's rap, there's a pattern happening somewhere. You know, and I just started to learn and learn. And
How early was that? If you're thinking about like ages, when did you start writing down and kind of like paying that extra attention to the music? And do you mind like mentioning those schools where you had the music teacher? I'll tell you why. Like for my wife, she really remembers that her music teacher, when she was at Mary Queen of Peace, had a really big influence on her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she mentioned some of the musicians that we hear now, the ladies, came from that school.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're big now. And she was just like, but this teacher of music, she was still looking for the guy now. She was like, he had a really big impact on our love for music. That when we sang at assembly, you know, he shaped like lives, you know? Yeah. Did you have that kind of experience, I guess, when you were younger?
No.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't individuals.
Yeah.
It was just, I guess, music was following me.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand why. I didn't even know. I just thought I love this thing. In whatever form it comes, dance, writing, rapping, miming, whatever form, this thing was following me.
That's interesting.
So, I think I was about 10 years old when I started to rewrite lyrics. 10 years old. And I got into studio the first time when I was 15. So I've been making music 20 years.
So you basically say everything else was a prop leading towards,
Into that.
like you were going through stages
Yeah.
in your journey of evolution for music.
Yeah.
So, like a follow-up question to Buff, I think he's outlined some of the areas we would like to delve into with you. One of them would be, you mentioned who I perceive from your family side, two key influences. So you first spoke about your brother, Fairly Strange. So we can surmise from that you probably have a really deep relationship with him. So first question is this. Typically, what was the age difference between you and him?
10 years.
10 years.
Wow.
So would we take it that he represented a significant role model for you at that time?
Till now.
To now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Till now, that's if I look and I think, is there a man I would want to be like when I grow up?
Looking at where you're at now, yeah.
Yeah, you know,
That's a big one.
it's him. You know, like he's a good man in every sense of the word. He's a stand-up man.
Yeah.
So typically with families, and this is a fairly common thing we've seen, you have the dynamic where they say you don't, okay, to paraphrase it a tad, they say you don't choose the family you're born into, which is true. So someone is your brother. A very funny thing, like while we're waiting for you, so we're introduced to the brother of one of our colleagues here, Chomba. So in fact, the joke in the room is what happened, because they mix between the senior brother and the junior, where the junior brother looks far more mature than, like Chomba, DNA switch somewhere, what's happening here? You know, so we can get that. But what we've realized, also from the point of view of either men or from a family perspective is, for instance, the relationship between siblings is nearly almost given.
Yeah.
But the relationship between individuals is not. So in other words, there is what binds you to your brother.
Yeah.
However, there is a relationship you develop outside that. So maybe you can give us a bit of insight into that relationship.
Yeah. He's my friend.
That's where we're going to. Yeah.
He's my friend. You know, he is. He's my best friend. He's one of my best friends. Like, he doesn't little bro me. You know, he speaks to me like an adult. He considers me
A peer.
you know. So it's not just like, oh, this is my little brother. How you doing, son? You know. So we talk, you know, and he gives me game, and I get advice. He prays for me. He's a very, very prayerful man. So, and just watching him be a husband and a father and do that very well, for me, it's
a key.
Yeah.
So you touched on two things, and there are things I do. So I'll do a bit of a segue, and it's the comment you made about it doesn't little bro you.
Yeah.
So it's a personal story I witnessed, and I can relate to what you say.
Yeah.
We went for my aunt's birthday party. My aunt is currently surviving. She's about 90. Wow. My dad is late. So about that time, that was maybe like 15 years ago. So you could clearly see that my dad was somewhere in his 70s and she was somewhere, you know, late 70s and all. And then when she's introducing my dad, and she says, my kid bro. And my dad has this look on his face. At this age, we're still doing kid bro thing. Our grandparents, what is this kid bro nonsense happening here? And so I can get it. And it actually touches on 2 points. First is the point you make around your brother is your friend. Because a friend, you see a friend entirely differently. So there's the benefit of first the foundation of being a sibling. And on top of that, and that the second part is more deliberate. You have to build a relationship. And that is cultivated. So you don't say, no, it's my brother. You just take it as for the fact. So that's the first part. So clearly, from what you're saying, we can infer that the strongest influences from what you've told us would be your brother
Yeah.
playing the key male role model in your life. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then your mother for laying the foundational aspects of your birth and everything else that you'd have given.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 'Cause he was never, the thing about male relationships is most of them become egotistic and like they become like a peeing contest.
Yeah.
Or like you should know that it's who's the dominant one, who is, And even when you slip up as the young one, older brothers most of the time tend to be hard and harsh and like, but he was very, very gentle with me. Like it was always like, nah, don't, and there was power in how he addressed me.
In the calmness.
In the calmness, because like what do they say about a man who the dangerous people are the ones who have their
They're composed.
They're composed, right? They know what they can do. But they have it under control. And that for me has always been very commendable. So he was always very soft with me. Very, very stern, but calm. Like don't.
I think the saying, something I would pick up from there is where it says that it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Yeah, so it's really deep.
Yes.
Over to you, George.
I'm just breaking everything down, and I think that with the Three in Company, why we even start with this, because it's very, very common that we have sort of like certain influence in our lives that shape who we are. But I would like to take it a step up ahead and see that your brother's influence in your life was more like he gave, right? I'm actually curious. I know he's not with us right now. Oh, no.
He's alive. It's just not.
Clarity. If you can speak on his behalf, like, what would you say that? Where did you receive that from? Like, is it more circumstances? Was it more like just more like exposure?
Him as a person,
yeah. Because he gave lessons, man. Like he gave you hardcore lessons.
Yeah,
like where did what was his receiving it?
I think sometimes God just gives it to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are people who are just born with the gift of wisdom.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Some of these gifts that God just gives. I think he's one of those people. Yeah. He's always had it under control. Yeah. So I think he's just naturally gifted that way.
Is he the firstborn in your family?
Yes. Well, I have a small but large family. I have a small but large family.
You're with African dynamics. African culture.
So yes and no.
Okay. But in your household, how many were you in your household? Like, there's him probably. There's you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I think.
Cousins.
I think when you look at it, the firstborn trait, I guess, that composure sometimes does help, but most of the time, like you were saying, it's very different because in male dynamics, that composure turns into egoistic and I'm the man and bullying.
It's a guy and a guy.
Yeah, a guy and a guy. But I think the 10-year gap also helps. Because like if he's 10 and Tim is 1, I think he's kind of got he's developed feelings where he can notice them and kind of because if like he's 3 and Tim is 1, they're still both children trying to figure themselves out.
I mean, it's like great.
So he raises a very valid point, and I think he emphasized it from George's question. And the question was, he says his brother was born with it. So one of the things you pick up from that dynamic is his brother has a certain quality. It makes no difference the age. That quality was innate in the brother. Because he wouldn't have made a difference. His brother saw himself in the position of responsibility that I have to look after him,
him.
and I have to set a role.
Yeah.
And he set such a role that he has shaped the man that is in front of us today. If he has such glowing words, in fact, I wish that speech were about me. I'd have please say it all while I'm still alive. But seriously, I mean, it's really fantastic to hear
he's
such
a
warm
good
praise.
Man. He's a good man. If there's one thing that I would like to do, is to impart some of that, into his children, because that's then my duty.
Continuity. That's deep.
And then his son is going to put it in my children.
I think that was sort of my question around like receive. Okay, so in the place that he was like receiving, right? Then now, like, what is he doing with that? Like, cause not that you feel like you are trying to give back, right? But there has to be a way that this is not just kept within yourself, but also trying to shared, right? But also, but the closest that I'm seeing is even with the impact of music. I feel that that's the influence there, like not just the siblings part, but also just more like, as an interaction with people and interaction, you kind of like have that in your DNA, right?
Even with my music, man, his opinion is very, so like when I was working on my album, I'd send him some songs, and he'll tell me, this is fantastic, but the tone, in which you know what I mean, you can be a bit calmer, and I'd think, I think I did it pretty well, but I will sit and I'll think, he's actually right.
He has a point,
and I would redo it, be like, see, this is what it is, and so
But that's such a core constructive feedback.
Right. Right. Because you give none, right?
Please stop. My beef is going on here. Please stop. Okay. No, that's a good one. And maybe another point to take up is, and this is a continuation of, I think, George's question. So apart from the fact that he's your brother, you've developed a friendship with him. You've also, apparently from your last statement, learned to trust his judgment and his input into your music career, which he has shaped. Right? So I think this is the point George was trying to get to, where it says that it's a segue, it continues. It's a gift that keeps giving. It's like a spiral.
It really is, because see, he used to rap back in the day. You see? So what would happen is I would find raps at the back of his books. Okay? So, and I was young, so I'd find raps at the back of his books, and I'm like, what is this, bro? But this is, nobody knows what it is. But it's provocative. Like I liked it. So looking back, man, like everything was just set up for me to find myself making music. Everything was just set up that way.
Like one of the things I can very clearly say, I think we all share that sentiment, is it would be so nice to have been part of the bond that you and your brother have. Clearly, as it has maybe shaped the musician or music creator or whatever hat you want to wear. So maybe to dive straight into that story. So you've given us a background of where your love for music started. You've given us a background of the contribution of your family and your choices and even their creative influence. And you've also given us a background of sort of the steps you went through in your growth for music. So first from studying the patterns to studying beats to studying rhythm to writing your own. So maybe now, just take us a bit in your own few words. And when I say few, I mean limited few. But we know you're going to tell us a story. In your own few words, just walk us through the progression that led to maybe Tim the artist or Tim the composer, some of the projects you worked on. What did you learn from some of those projects, and what skill did it equip you with? You just walk us through a high level view, just for the audience to also appreciate your journey.
Okay, so how I came to be the musician that I am today. Learning, firstly. I loved learning. and just anything that had to do with music. And also, I had a love for words, right? Putting words together, trying to bend words. How can this work? I've always just had a love for words. So my cousin, we had a little laptop, and my cousin came and installed something called Fruity Loops.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fruity Loops 3.4, right? So I stayed up tinkering with that thing, you know, because I thought, okay, we're getting somewhere now, right? And after that, it just became like a neighborhood thing, right? Like the other guys had Fruity Loops, and some guys were amazing at making beats. Right? I thought, okay, this is my chance. You know, I love words. The guys are making beats. So I started to write, and then my mom started to notice, like, you're spending a lot of time. What are you writing? You know? I had to hide my rhymes. Because if she found those, man, I had to hide my rhyme books. But I got into a studio 2004. My cousin's friend, he had this bedroom studio. It was just in his room. He had a little microphone and, you know, Zanny. So we recorded my first song there. And then once I heard myself on a beat, it was over. Nice. It was over. It was over. Like it was over. That's all I wanted to do. Like I could feel, even as a young boy, this is where I belong. You know. So then I went to. I just started collecting beats, collecting beats and writing, collecting beats and writing. And then I started to record at, you know Chica, the musician? Yes, at his studio for a while. And then I started to record at Crisis' studio, Chisenga, when I was still in high school. And then my friend Nick Pro and I, we started to just ditch class.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. Don't do it, kids. Don't do it. You know, we started to ditch class. We would do morning, afternoon. It's like, bro, laptop's in the bag. He has a microphone. Let's go to our other friend's house, you know. So we would go to our other friend's house, set it up, and just start working, you know. So school in the morning, music in the afternoon, and it went like that for the whole time, the whole duration. And then I think 2008, 2008, I used to, all I did was just make music, like outside of school and playing video games. All I did was make music, write and make music. I met so many people, so many incredible people. Some are still doing music, some are not doing music anymore. But 2008, my friend Nick Pro introduced me to K-Star, who had a little booth in the CBD. Yeah, so at some point after high school, like a while after high school, 2008, I get a call from K-Star. K-Star says, yo, there's a mixtape that's being made. So before that, K-Star had put me on the first ever song that I was on with 5-4, and I was such a fan. I'm still such a fan. It's like it's King 5, you know. He put me on a song with 5-4. That's the first time I ever stepped into Roma side. I think I was in like 10th grade or 11th grade. But I couldn't understand why all these guys that were older than me were kind of like, something here, right? For me, it felt like, oh, I'm writing and I want to get better. But seeing the older people be like, yo, come here, you know? They're like, okay, I wonder what it is that they see. So anyway, 2008, this is not limited words, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's pretty limited.
All right. 2008, K-Star calls me. I remember where I was. I was walking to from Crossroads, the mall, towards Hilltop Hospital. I was passing right by the Zamtel Flats. K-Star calls me and he says, "There's a mixtape that's being made. It's called Berg City on Lock, and I think you should come. I mentioned you, but I think you should come." I said, when and where? You know, when and where, yeah.
Point me in the direction. Yeah.
When and where, you know. So he gave me directions, a studio in Chilenge, and I think he even sent me money to get on a bus.
Okay.
And so I did that. Next day I was there. I got to this place, bro. It's just a little room in the back of a bar. Okay, so it's like you walk into this. It was like a bar or something. And then at the back, what was supposed to be like a store room or something, there was a studio there. No windows. It's hot in this room. So I walk in, and to my left, there's a guy in a beanie with long hair, like a perm, right? Baggy jeans, verbal. He was there, A+ was there. And then in walks another guy with a British accent, jeans all the way down to his knees almost, you know. I'm like, hi, my name's Greasy. So then I started to know all of these people. And then Buff shows up, you know? Then Buff shows up. So that first day I had to record a song because you had to be battle tested. Like not just, okay, you come, we're here that you rap where you come from, right? But there's a beat here, there's a mixtape, rap. If you're cool, then you make it onto the mixtape. If not, but like here's, we slice it. You have, there's something we're trying to do. So I did a song, I don't even remember what song or what verse it was. And from then on, it was just like every single day, Buff's at my house, either picking me up or dropping me back off. But like it was just from then on. That's how I met the hoster as well. And then the hoster. So I knew J-Rocks and Dope G from high school. I knew of them. And then also because Rocks was in a dance group, and I was in a dance group as well at some point.
So you would interact.
I knew of him. Like I knew their dance crew. So then I see them walk in. I'm like, oh snap! I know these dudes. You know, some familiar faces. I know these dudes. And they recorded as well. And then Sam and I ended up going to Zika's. Sam was at Zika's when I got to Zika's. So then that happened, and I told him, like, you need to speak to the hoster. Like, we need to record something somewhere. So he said, nah, come to studio. So then there was a studio, Rocks had a studio in Avondale. But anyway, I'm just jumping through time. Because there's time between the studio in Chilenge, and then the studio in Avondale, and then Duncan's, but it just, from then on, it just moved. But Buff is a very crucial piece of
consistent throughout that journey.
Listen, like everybody has a Buff story. Everybody has a Buff story. It's
you know, the strange part, it's like memory lane. So I'm listening to you talk, and corner of my eye, I'm looking at Buff, and Buff is like a grandfather who is proud. That's right. That's true. Remember that one too.
It's true. It's true. And like so many times during that period, 2008, we would just go and park somewhere and start rapping after studio. Studio's closed. What's there to do? Wow. You still want to rap? Okay. Get some drinks, park the van at like a mall, you know.
And then go free reign.
Start playing beats. You know, and and then before you know it, it's like 1, 2 a.m. You know, and then the whole thing repeats. You know, but it was such a an interesting time, moving from there to where I am now. So I start to record with the guys, the host. So the host, Dope G, Sam Sakala, J Rocks, Alkanai, Verbal, right? So 6 people. And man, that was amazing. And then the whole thing just
Took off.
it just took off.
So a quick question, and you like you said, you've crammed so much of history in this brief interlude. And Buff is a proud grandfather just listening to this. I can just see him now. You know, if his glasses had like wipers, they'd be like misty right now. They're wiped.
Yeah.
But brilliant history. And maybe one of the points we'll do a segue from is you've also given us a context to also how you honed your skill. Because apparently in all these things happening, you are improving. It's just that it's not implicitly stated, but we know you are improving. So maybe, very quick highlight, looking at all the parties you interacted with, K-Star and all the rest of them, how would you say that they shaped, what was their influence on your style?
Okay.
And how did your style influence them? Maybe just to see how that relationship works.
So K-Star had this way of being unserious but very powerful. Like he's saying what he's saying in a joking manner. But this man's rapping, bro. You know, like he had that thing. So I thought, okay, you don't just have to always be
serious and look like
serious and you know, I learned that. I learned. So there's like when I started, all I wanted to do was just punchlines. Like this is what it is, bro. If you give me 16 bars, all of those would be a setup and a punch, a setup and a punch, a setup and a punch. Okay. So as time went on, I started to hang with Sam, Reggie, Jay, Duncan. It was like a continuation of boot camp. Right? Because now, during that time, there was so much happening, right? There was so much happening. We were actually beefing. Bro, it's such an interesting story. You know, like it's, looking back now, like we should make documentaries about that stuff. Yeah, we really should.
We are first on the line for that. We are.
Yeah, so I started to hang with the guys, and man, the host, Duncan, such a superhuman, man. Superhuman, bro. Like he went far and beyond. But we never felt like, and I remember this was the thing with everybody else, and I think that's why it worked, right? Because I remember meeting the Street Bangers and Tick and everybody. Nobody felt like their competition was here.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I see.
No.
Yeah.
We all felt like, okay, so what are they doing out there in the States? That's the competition. You know, that's where we need to be, level-wise. We need to be on par. So when we started to make music as a group, it was boot camp. So it's like, okay, what's the hook? Oh, this is the hook? Okay, cool. And everybody just goes to sit in the corner. Okay? And you know, like I have to bring my A because I'm not the nicest here, you know, and the next person's thinking the same thing. So everybody is influencing everybody, you know. So from there, I moved from just being a punchline rapper to being like, okay, so how do I perfect and tell a concept? You know, how do I? How much further can I go with this multi-syllable rhyming? And that's a strong. So Sam, there's a way that he plays with words. it's natural to only him.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd look and I think, how do I tap into that? Right? So now the more you hang with people every day, all of you start to build this one thing. Right? So there's a way in which Jay would deliver. Right? It's like it's with a swing, but he's on beat. There's, you know, everybody, man. Reggie had this. Reggie will want to put a point across, right? So if Reggie hits you with a punch, it's like, man, you know. So you start to pick up from
Different, the
yeah,
influence.
and you start to mold yourself into what it is that you feel best works for you. So that's why today, when you listen to a song and you listen to the way that I rap, and then you listen to the way that Sam raps, and you listen to the way that Jay raps, it won't take you long when you listen to the way that Reggie raps to figure out, hey, is there a connection here? You know? So it's iron sharpens iron. And that's really what happened. It was boot camp. You had to bring your A game. You had to bring.
How long was boot camp for? Like, if you were to phrase it as a timeline, what?
From 2009 to about 2014, 5 years.
Whoa!
Wow,
That's a long time.
5 years.
Honing the craft.
Yeah,
right?
this is from 2009 when I started to record. When we started to record as Zone Fam, 2009. To about 2014. But before that, it was still boot camp, because 2008, all the way back, it was still different phases, right? Because at A+, the studio with Berg City on Lock happening, it was so many rappers. So many brilliant rappers. It's like, and this is this mixtape that's being made with so many brilliant rappers. I cannot be average. You simply cannot afford to be average. And because there are so many other people, it's very easy to just not be on the project. Everybody is recording songs, and it's how many songs? 18, 19 songs that you can fit on a CD at the time. You know, so we have to pick the best songs. We're going to have more than 19 songs, but we have to pick the best songs to make it onto this project. It was, man, it was, I remember, it got to a point where all I just wanted to do was rap. Wherever I go. Wherever I go. Is there a microphone? No. Okay. Let's just rap then. You know. But God knew why all of that was happening the way that it was, and all of these phases and all of these points, these journeys in my life, to where I am now. I got saved 2014, and then announced 2015, and then now that journey began.
That opens us up to the next chapter, and I think that's where Buff would step in, because remember in his intro he did mention about spirituality. So you, in fact, you didn't even need any prompting. You just literally opened that chapter. Over to you, good sir.
You know, a great place to start is, just from like 2008, like when I first met Tim. Like it's a shared history. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you met him, man, you're like, he was shorter. He had like a
way
table cut.
shorter.
And he was just like he was very on the go. Like he was good to go. Like, yo, is it my turn to rap now? Yo, we're rapping now. Yo, what song are we rapping on? You know the Are We There Yet guy? Tim was the Are We There Yet? You know what I mean? Pick him up from home. So what time we're going to the studio, man? Like, bro, we're gonna like get like we're gonna get water. We're gonna get the studio. Like, is this the studio? I'm like, bro, this is a show. What a show. Calm down. But like, I think when he says he's a wordsmith, I think people think a wordsmith is someone that puts words together. No, I think a wordsmith is someone that hypnotizes you with the story that they tell. Like they capture you completely in this, in this tale. And Tim was always good at that. I think that the thing that he was really good at is he knew what he wanted. Like him, music was like, if you're not there at 7 and you said you pick him up at 7, he's calling you at 7 like, yo, where you at?
Okay.
Yeah, man, it's very interesting. The 2004, 2008 period was the building blocks for things that were not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even like finding a studio where you could record something was crazy. Like even the studio that he talks about, A+'s studio, which was at the back of a bar, was because the bar was going to use that place to expand their bar, but because it belonged to someone, they're like, okay, can we just borrow this place for and then, but it was a necessary journey too. It was really a boot camp, really.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So many stories from there that could be made. But then I guess like you were saying, like no experience is wasted, Like it's always a stepping stone to the next stage.
Yeah.
And I think he's right. 20, even the hype and height of the music for that age was between 2008 and 2015. After that, I think everyone kind of started going through their next journey of life. I think that's the best way to put it. Everyone from Dope G to J-Rocks to Superman to myself to Tim, we just became different people. That's why it's such a glitch in the matrix. You know what I mean? Because 2015 was when the glitch happened. You know what I mean? And it was almost like the snap for Thanos. You know what I mean? I think that's what it was, man. For us, it happened in 2015. And you went quiet for a while.
I did.
And I think maybe that's your transition.
Yeah.
What was that? What happened there?
God had to grow me. He was pruning. I was also just learning what it was and what it meant to be saved, to be a Christian, and going through seasons, like, okay, I'm a believer, but then I'm drunk on a Saturday, right? Then the next day I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that, right? I was growing, I was maturing, and I started to work on this album in 2015, and it came out 8 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the reason, actually, that I started to keep my hair. I started to grow it in 2017. Think, okay, I need to see how long it takes. I'm in album mode now, so I'll just lock it and let it keep growing.
So just mention to the hair, and it's a comment more or less than anything else. Would you say the hair was a representation of that commitment? Was it like, did you make a pact? Is that what the hair symbolizes, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So this hair is tied to the album. It really is. So now that that's done, the hair will have to go. It'll have to go.
Do we expect any strange hairstyles? Next
Oh
album?
no! I was always one with the strange hairstyles. Actually, I had a really high, top fade. Then it was a mohawk at some point, and then it was I don't have the head for short hair, so maybe a little fro, maybe a little nicely kept fro, but I was growing. I was growing. God was pruning. I didn't understand what was happening and why it was happening, but
you went with the flow.
Looking back now, I get it. I get it, because sometimes I thought, I'm ready. Ready, I need to put this music out. I'm ready.
But ready for what?
I look back now and I thought, I wasn't
Don't
ready.
you dare.
So a lot of growth happened. A lot. And even just from the beginning of the year and now, right, when I look back, there are things that I see now that I didn't see at the beginning of the year. I'm like, man, some growth has happened as well, you know, some situations. And I look back and I think, oh snap, man, you need to grow here, or you need to fix yourself there. And you know, it's always every season is a season of introspection, I believe, because that's the only way we grow. Yeah. So 2015 to about 2023, I was working on the album and growing, and that's where we are now. The album came out, but there was also like many things would happen, man. Like I would record. They would tell you every studio has a Tim folder. Every studio you go to, there's a Tim folder with either beats or unfinished music or like, you know. But I would record, and then a hard drive would crash.
Wow.
Okay. You know, things like that used to happen. So I look back now and I think, man, maybe that was just, I guess God just stalling me. You know, like it's not time yet. Just pump your brakes. I know what I'm doing. You know, but yeah. So I'm grateful for the growth. And I'm looking forward to growing even more.
Very, very interesting stages, I guess. I think the journey itself making sense from where it starts, right? And I think we did talk about it in the first segment. Talked about the influence, I think, from a family point of view, brother. And second segment, it was extended to people around you that shaped you on who you were and who you are, and all of those names mentioning as well. I'm surprised that Buff was. Anyway, that's just a joke. But yeah, but he's done his part. I want man, but amazing stuff. This is me swallowing my pride right now. It's me swallowing my pride. But yeah, the journey makes sense. And I think this other segment, or maybe the last segment, is how it now makes sense with. There's a certain way that we refer to the Father, and I think that's what this phase will be about. That you, I think the last comment that you made was the period in which you got saved, and then there was this break, right, where there was now a conversation away from everyone else. So away from your brother, away from Buff, away from, but just you and God, being shaped, being mentored, I think that's the exciting part that we want to know. And how this ties into, I think, is something that we've been talking about just previously, is using that as a source of a tool, right? Because we're talking about, when you talk about Moses, what do you have in your hand? Hey.
I like that example.
That kind of thing. And I'm sure that there's also the calling aspect as well that comes into play, right? And I think that I would love to break it down to how did that happen? You know, as in, was it do you even struggle to accept it, or do you struggle to say, okay, fine, but the impact, am I worthy? Am I, there's so many questions that go through our minds, right? I'm also thinking about it from a context of, maybe it will come in later, but I know that with entertainment, and at this point I don't want to call it secular because, but entertainment, there's a measure of growth in terms of like popularity, right? And you talk about, okay, fine, numbers and all of that, but how this transition sort of changed to what you're calling measure now, right? Which is not really about numbers now, but it's really something very, very, even if it's one person, right? As in, hey man, let's break it down, man, from there.
Can I maybe add a question on top so that he unpacks everything? So he made a reference when he made the reference to Moses and the stick and everything else. So I will amplify that a bit more so that it adds weight to the question. The question is, if we look at the Bible, the context, for instance, Saul who becomes Paul, right? Same personality, same doggedness, same education. On that side. The moment he embraces God, he channels those same tool sets into the service of God. So, and that's why I'm writing exactly on top of his question to say, specifically, from your growth and embrace and love of music, and now your acceptance of God into your life, where he runs front and center. How have you, to amplify it further, how have you moved that on top of the gift of music? How has that decision you've taken channeled you? That is just unpacking the question.
So for me, the thing is, God gave me this gift. I don't deserve it. Just looking at me as an individual, right? When I take a look at me, I don't deserve it at all, right? And he chooses to give me these songs. But these songs are his gifts to me. You know what I mean? He gives them to me. He could have given them to anybody else, right? But he gave these songs to me as a gift. Say, oh, I love you. I'm giving you this. Here, you do this. You know? And I've put in my 10,000 hours. It's 10,000 hours for you to reach mastery at something, right? I've put in my 10,000 hours, but I still need to keep going. Why? Because understanding that this is just a gift that I need to steward means that if I'm doing it for God, I want to do it at the highest level. I want to do it at the highest level possible. I want to drain this thing, like to where it's like, where your vehicle so well, so well. You can get it through tight spaces. You know it so well. That's what I want. I want to deliver and use my gifts at the highest level, not even like hierarchical in terms of society or whatever, but like to the best of my abilities.
If I can write on top of that, there's a comment that Buff is very fond of making, and when we started meeting, he used that a lot. He says that I came to this world, and when I leave, I want to empty myself so that there's nothing left. Would that be an adequate way to capture what you're saying?
Yes, I want to do it to the best of my abilities. I say this, when God gave me this gift, he gave it to me in full. Right from the time I was a baby. It's like you put a baby in a mansion, right? First, there's one room, there's this room, and then you start to discover other rooms, right? You just keep going, and you keep going. That's what it is with me. I want to do this thing so well, and do it for Jesus. To where it's like, when musicians or wordsmiths and whatever it is are spoken about, there is a representative of Jesus. That's, for me, that's what I want, because I know that's what he has put inside of me, and it will be egotistic of me to not deliver to that. It's like, you've given me something, I'm like, oh, all right, you've given it to me, cool. I'll do it how I want to do it, however, but no, it's he has given it to me, so it's my responsibility to make sure that I keep growing myself to where he can add more and more, so when I exhaust this, then he will give me something else to do.
Deep.
And I'll go elsewhere. Wherever else he chooses to take me. He told Abraham, just you get up.
Two questions on that, right?
Yeah.
Was there a trigger moment, right?
Moments.
Yeah. there was moments.
Moments.
Yeah. And you would pick up like 2 or whatever comes to mind. What you got?
Moments, man. It wasn't one big thing, you know? It's like maybe a sad time here, a breakup there, an argument here, a situation here. But there's one situation I talk about all the time. We were about to perform at a club, bar, pub, club type joint. And there was this guy who came up to me drunk, older than me. He had a beer bottle in his hand, and he was just happy. You know, when you're excited, when you're drunk, your emotions are heightened. So he was crying, and you know, the whole thing. And I mean, it's at that point normal occurrence, right? You meet lovers of your music all the time, and you perform in clubs, and so you're used to this. But there was something about this guy, you know. So we took pictures, we spoke, and he left. But as he was walking away, I was looking at him. I don't know what it is about that encounter. It wasn't any different from any other encounter. It was just a drunken guy. A drunk guy who came, and he was happy to see me. But I looked at him as he was walking away, and I thought, I have so much power. So much power and control over people's emotions. What am I feeding them? You know? And from then on, it stayed. It stayed on the inside, you know, and then, you know how it is with God. Like, he'll keep adding straws. You know? Keep adding straws. And it's the one thing you don't even expect that's going to break the bank. You know, so I'm at a point where I want to change the face, well, not the face, but the idea around. They say hip hop's a young man's sport. Like, that's wrong. It's wrong. You know, and it's designed to keep people manipulated, because you cannot give a young person that much power to influence other people. You know, and say, oh, when you go over 30 or 35 or 4, you're old now, nobody wants to hear you. You know, we'll keep getting the young naive kids. You know, it's damaging. It's damaging. You know, so if and I believe it's something that God has tasked me to do, to do it very well and do it the right way. So I'm excited to keep searching while I'm in this season.
So is this, and I think at one time I was speaking to a preacher friend, and when you mentioned the power of influence. And I think that what we misunderstand is that, or maybe what we follow along is that there's the crowd that comes along with it when you are in that space of power. But this one is in a more kind of spiritual context or whatever it is. And the risk in that is that there's the popularity aspect as well that also feeds into the ego, right? I'm interested to know from your side how you manage being on a mission and also managing that small thing that would just grab your ego. And also just making sure that even as your lyrics, that they're not, the punches are not to entertain, but to change. But even those special things that you just put in, like, okay, would it sound, so all of that process, like how do you manage ego and...
Man, for me, I'll tell you, I do not, I don't want to be influential. At all. I want to be impactful. Now, you cannot be impactful from an egotistic place. You know, and also I think being a follower of Christ, the one thing you realize is it's not about you. Everything you have, it's like going to the military. We spoke about going to the military before. You know, you self dies. You know, so I cannot be egotistic and be an ambassador of Christ. It cannot work.
One has to die.
One has to die, and it happens naturally. It just happens when you realize there's a bigger purpose. You see just how insignificant everything else is, like your ego and your nobody cares, man. Nobody cares about your ego. Like the same people you're being boastful to are people you can minister to. You know, and you cannot minister from a place of pride. This is not to say you shouldn't know and be comfortable in your abilities. I know I'm very good at what I do, right? But I'm very good at what I do now because I know that it's a gift that He has given to me. I don't deserve it. My only thing is to steward it and make sure that I don't want to be the best rapper. I don't care about that. You know, I want to do the best with what He has given to me. I don't care what the next person's doing. I want to keep creating and honing my craft and my skill in this season and see where He takes me next. So it's the ego has to die. The ego has to die. There's things in the music that I put in there for me, though.
I like that confession. That came out
they're
nice.
there because look, as an artist, as a student of the art form, right? I'm a student of the art form. There are things that only other students of the art form will get. And these are little things that people put in there just that other students will get. That's what it's like little identifying issues.
Like
you know,
signatures.
like you listen and you think, okay, I know where you stand. You know, like okay, you've put in this many hours, or professors know. Right? You know when you're dealing with another person with a black belt, you know just by little things that they do. So it's that's what it is. I'm not going to pretend that I don't know my abilities, but I know that they are not entirely mine. I just have to steward them, and I have to steward them well because I will be accountable. You know, I'll get there and I'll be asked what I did with them and why I did what I did with them, and they'll be tried by fire.
Tried by fire. That's a good one.
They will, you know. So imagine you do all of this and it seems good, but it doesn't hold any weight in the spirit. Then what is it that you're doing? So that's just the prayer every day, realizing that you're not doing it for yourself. Once you realize that, the ego just dies.
Can I write on top of his question? I like writing a lot.
He writes a lot.
I write a lot. So George laid certain frameworks. I could, of course, go back because from your start where you laid off the foundation of the role that your brother played, and unconsciously, since God is all-knowing and therefore sets up your life in a way that follows the path He still determines. So if you look at the fact that your brother has taught you the principles of calm, your brother himself was not egotistical. So it is easy for you not to be egotistical, which then carries forward into the later parts of the journey that your life. Literally. And that was what I noticed when you asked the question and how you answered it. So my question would be this, that looking at how you were, as George put it, the secular part of you, and then you found Christ. So how have you merged your love, as he says, the wordsmith, the rapper, this, what people would perceive as secular music, and then your love for God? So how has that shaped maybe this album you're working on now,
Yeah.
or the direction you've chosen to take music in.
Yeah.
You've given us a bit of a hint at the fact
Yeah.
that you're trying to lead people
Yeah.
and teach.
Yeah.
But just your own words, how has it shaped?
I feel like I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in, as an artist, but also as a thinker, as a musician. Because there was a time when I thought, man, okay, so you get saved, right?
Yeah.
How many songs can you do about the goodness of God? Right? Before it gets played out, like, how many things can you rap about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I started to grow and I realized there's more things to rap about there than there is in the secular world. There is so much to talk about, So it's like, okay, so I can do amazing things with words saying absolutely nothing. But now I get the chance to do that and actually be saying something, So for me, it feels like I am where I belong. And this needed to happen for me to get better. It needed to happen because I would have capped. I'd have hit a ceiling.
The ceiling, yeah.
I'd have been great, but I'd have hit a ceiling in my abilities or whatever. But after finding Jesus and starting to grow, there is so much that I am learning also, even about the Bible. Like, there's prophecies, for instance, in the original language of the Bible, right? For it to be a prophecy, I read somewhere that it had to rhyme, right? It had to rhyme. Even the Psalms, how they are written in the original languages, they rhyme. So there is more. It's watered down when we read it in the English, and that's why I want to go and learn the languages. I really do, because there's things hidden in there that are going to help me on my music journey that are not in the English version of our word. But there's so much to learn. I'm glad I'm on the right path. I know it's the right path. I don't need to convince anybody else that it's the right path.
True.
I know it's the right path, and I'm going to do it. And the people that God has set out for me to reach, I will reach them.
Like using this avenue, for instance, as ordinary as this seeming interview is, it is actually a window.
Yes, yes, I will reach them. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season holds, and where I'm going next.
Can I make one request?
Yeah.
So, yes, it wasn't on the cards, but I mean, we can't have been using words like wordsmith and poet, and you will not drop a line. It's something just to titillate the audience. Just wet our beaks, as the Italians would say. So,
What is it, like freestyle? You want?
I mean,
if
he's here.
We can theme it to Three and Company and then see.
Wow.
Should I bring a beat? You're not working today.
Okay. See, I have been there. I tasted methods that can't protect us. It takes a second to make a record and praise the Messiah who gave me fire to save my brethren and pray for reverence. Rocking that Holy Spirit safety gear, made in heaven. I have to say, the rapping game's a masqueraded party seat. I had to face a half decayed, contaminated part of me. Laughing something. But they like, why'd you leave? Boy, you was fly. See, I found my purpose. No more cursing verses from me. It's worth it working for he. I'm murking serpents and demons around them and pound them and ground them with nouns and around, and sound is astounding. Loud as a crowd coming down off a mountain and growling. The one with the crown is abounding. I'm wild that I found him. Surrounded by grace all around, pouring out like a fountain. Storing up the treasures in heaven, the amount he is counting. I've been on big stages, man, and I've rocked. been looked at as competition by Africa's top. It sounds fulfilling to the ear, but what's sad is a snot. It birthed in me self-righteousness and bragging a lot. I've been there and get it from me. It all just comes with hollow nights. I've tasted good fame and a lot of lights, but I felt empty and disconnected. And all in a second, I put it down to follow Christ. And since then, I've fallen a lot because of nonsense. And I would cry, but he always tells me to not stress. Salvation is a walk and not a contest, and there's nothing he loves more than a work in progress. Thank you.
Oh boy. All right. So where's the album? Where is it? Where is it?
That's I forgot some bits, but that's a verse from a song I did for KB, a verse of a KB song. It's called "The Last Dance." It's an amazing song.
That was deep, yeah.
To close it off, right? They say when a student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah.
You are the teacher for the students that are watching this show, the audience, whatever it is. What are you saying to that person that's ready to begin this journey? And like you said, man, it's not one big bang moment that changes you, right? So what's your advice to that person that's like, okay, I've been finna do that, you know what I mean? But the homies still drink, the homies still cuss.
Yeah.
What are you saying to that person as they start?
The good thing is that you don't have to look at me.
Yeah.
I will give you the cheat code.
Yeah.
You know, like just follow the person I'm following. I'm not going to teach you anything that he's not going to. Like, he will teach you that and more. And each and every one of us, we're all gifted, we're all tasked. Because we're here on a mission, I believe, on this earth. All of us are here on a mission.
Yeah.
You know, you're born with your memories wiped. Yeah. But we're from somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're on a mission while we're here. Just listen to your heart. That's all it is. Because right now you say gut feeling, right? Listen to your gut feeling.
Yeah.
But as you grow, you realize that's the Holy Spirit. Like he nudges you, he tugs on you on the inside. You feel it. You feel it. And it's just, the time has come. The time has come, and don't be afraid. You will go into a season of pruning, of consecration, of growth. But when you come out on the other side, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to know that you don't just live for you. To know that none of this is because of how good or great you are as a person, or what you can do, or what you can't do. No, you're an ambassador, and if you go and you take care of your duties, the government you represent takes care of you.
Word, brother, word. Word.
Yeah. So.
You're not even rapping now. My hands are standing up.
Yeah. So. That's what it is. Just take the plunge. It's like a cold bath. Just go in there. Just go in there.
The only way to start is to start, right?
Yeah.
Only way to change is to change.
Yeah. Right where you are.
Tim, man, always, like, I've known you forever.
Yeah.
What makes this special for me is to have, my family here.
Yeah.
To kind of have this conversation with you, because they don't come from where we come from.
Yeah.
If it was you and me, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But like for us, this is a therapy session, it's a growth session. I think you provide so much insight to this walk called life. You've added some new building blocks to our philosophy. And I hope the audience gets that. I hope the company gets that. I hope they see another side of you that's not just music, because that's not who you are. Music is the car that you're in.
Yeah.
And you're driving through these tight spaces trying to figure it out. Thank you to Bongo Hype for the venue, this place where we are, which has given us the ambience to spread this message. To have you, in a place that is fitting. the guys behind who make this happen, Chomba, K, and Waka, man, that's a big team. They are our bosses. We're just the faces. To George for not asking any, real questions. You know what I mean? It's all good. Chinedu, as usual, man, for tying this into the things that we don't see, the intangible things. Yeah, man. This is 3 on Company. I think the platform. This is what we're trying to do with it, and we hope everyone out there enjoys it. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me. Bless.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.